Okay.
There we go. So aloha and welcome to It's Acupuncture, and it's not acupuncture with me, Jennifer Bell, Jennifer B, and my friend Rob Z. And we went to acupuncture school together, and we don't do acupuncture the way that we were taught. So we wanted to talk about that and share just insights and stuff, just kind of like share our conversations. I would say, I don't know, and like I'll have Rob talk about himself in a second, but I would say that a lot of times Rob and I are each other's consiglieres, wise counsel. And as we've been on this path as practitioners for so many years. And so we tend to have like very interesting conversations. And because you know, we were kind of dissatisfied, I would say, with what we learned in school. So Rob's website is Silver Needle Wellness if you want to check him out, and then I'll put the link below. But is there anything you want to say about what you do, Rob, or anything that you want to talk about yourself before we go in the conversation?
No, let's just jump into it. Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah. So the one thing
Well,
I
I'm sure everyone can tell that, I'm in New Jersey.
yeah.
I'm sure everyone can tell, right? You have that beautiful aloha glow, and I'm, hiding from the sun here because it's 95 degrees and no breeze, and,
Yeah, it's
humid.
cooler
I can
here.
tell you.
You would do better
Yeah.
here. You'd be better off here. So Rob has been here. Rob has definitely visited the beautiful island of Kauai, and he had a really nice time, a nice experience while he was here. How could you not, right? Um,
How could you not?
hey, how could you not? So I do want to talk about, so what you don't might not know about Rob is that he's trained in this style of acupuncture called shakaju, which is a non-insertion style, um, which is like people go like kind of goes, what? Because there are people who are afraid of needles. There are people who don't believe in acupuncture, and then we have like this, like, what do you mean you're not going to put a needle in me, right? Like kind of like that. Like, how do you get people converted, right, to shakaju once they've like experienced regular acupuncture? So what, like, I want to know, because we haven't talked about this in a long time, but like what initially kind of drew you into shakaju?
Well, let me first adjust myself. I don't want you guys looking too far up my nose here. Um, okay, maybe that's a little better,
That's
huh?
better, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, we went to the same school. We
I
had the
know.
same program, and it was just kind of so I was just looking for something that made sense.
Yeah.
And nothing made sense. And
Mhm.
we learned a lot of different things, and one of them was the official sanitized communist version of
Right.
Chinese medicine.
Right.
They call it traditional Chinese medicine, but it's only been traditional since the 1960s, right? Because it was only developed then. Mao pretty much killed everybody off.
Mhm.
And then they realized they had this crisis on their hands. They had this huge population of people and no one to take care of them. So what they did was they took a bunch of people together, whoever was left, and put them in a room, and they came up with traditional Chinese medicine, which wasn't.
Right.
They oversimplified it and they herbalized it, and our school didn't have herbs, so of course we were a little bit lost.
Right.
And I think you could probably tell that spending a year in the clinic, TCM wasn't very effective.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Hmm.
So I just had this deep conviction that it did work and there was some way out there. And I wasn't sure what it was, but I went on a search. And this class in Shakaju was happening in Boston. And I didn't really know what the hell that was, but I thought, hey, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
And it turned out to be everything I was looking for.
Yeah. I remember when you told me about it. So like this is how far Rob and I go back, like, I don't know, when we were in school, early 2000s, 2004, 5, something like that. So I remember you telling me about it. You're like, Jen, you should take this class. Just take, and I just didn't have the I didn't have like the bandwidth at the time. I think probably when you took it was right after my dad died, and I just didn't have I didn't have it like in me to go do that, at that time. Um, so but I was excited for you, and I was excited about how excited you were about it. I just I remember how much, I remember that very well. And David, who I've known since he was like 14 years old, who's from New Jersey, now lives in Florida, is finishing up acupuncture school right now, and he has a lot of. I keep telling him like no snow acupuncture school is good. like they're
It's not,
all
yeah.
effed up.
And not only that, they're all closing. I was reading an article where even just today, Oregon College of Acupuncture is closing. So that's another one off the list. And I would say it's a very dark time for this profession in this country.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I think they're going to get absorbed into like regular medical schools. I think
That's what's happening.
they're going to
Yeah.
become so westernized that the true essence of the medicine is it's just not going to be there. And I think like I saw that like when, PTs started doing dry needling, and like all the fight of trying to, of all of the legislature, like trying to fight them being able to do that. Um, because it's not, it's like point and shoot, you know.
Right, right. And it's also, and it's not as effective either. I mean, any system that you practice is most effective used within its own paradigm, right?
Mhm.
So if you take any understanding of chi, ki, prana, vitalism, anything like that out of the equation, and you're just really playing darts, and it's it's just not going to be as effective. You're
No,
taking the soul out of it, and I
yeah,
think these days we need more soul.
yeah, oh yeah, well that's,
Yeah,
that's all I do right here is structured by
yeah,
soul. This is like my whole thing from being a practitioner. Like what I saw was that people were disconnected from their soul,
yeah.
and that really started me on a different path. And truthfully, like I realized like coming from body work and going into acupuncture, like I wanted the theory, but I never really enjoyed putting needles in people. It was never like, oh yeah, let me do that. um I would,
Yeah.
and when I had my, my practice in New Jersey, I would always do some needles and mostly body work. So the needles were just to get people to kind of submit in a way, like to become like they couldn't you can't move. One thing about insertion style that I think is a benefit is that there's not it's uncomfortable to move when you have needles in, and so you're kind of forced to surrender. You kind of like you have to lie there. Otherwise, like it could hurt, right? Because you don't want to move too much with walk around with needles in you. And so that's the one benefit where I think people just have to surrender. And some people it's really hard for them. I've seen patients where like I put needles in them, they can't, they just can't even get to stillness. It's bizarre. Like it's a bizarre thing for me to see, but that's their normal range. So, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
mom's at work watching us. She just loved this video. So, Rob is my mother's acupuncturist. I would never send her to anyone else. There's no one I would recommend other than Rob if you're in New Jersey. I won't. He's worth traveling for, and he's his whatever he does is just very effective. And he really does, like he's very present to the practice, so that's also important too.
And you can experience this lovely New Jersey weather we have every day.
Well, those some of the people that would go to you are actually still in New Jersey, right? Right.
Oh, all right. We're stuck here together. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Good. Come on in. We'll have a good time.
yeah, they already know the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really just want to keep you know getting Rob to come over here to Kauai. Anyone that I love or value, and I'm sure David's going to be a banging practitioner too. I'm sure he already is. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, come on over, come here. The weather's nice. It's not as humid for sure. Everyone thinks it is, but it's not. And we don't, I don't think I've ever seen temperatures here like, in the 90s very often, even. It's nice. Yeah. Anyway,
Except for the dark heart of the center of the island.
you don't like that part.
The black heart of the center of the island.
Well, I mean, so I've talked about this before, and what people don't understand because they think, oh, Kauai, it's high vibe, it's high vibe. Yeah, you know what? These high vibe, it's like the greater the light, the more the dark is attracted to it, people. So it kind of amplifies what needs to be released in you, and it's varying degrees for each person, right? But there are a lot of people out here spiritual bypassing, lots of it. So they're not doing the inner work, they're not doing the transformational work. And Rob and I talk about this too a lot. Like, because Rob also he's a meditation teacher, and now he is studying herbs with Matthew Wood, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and you're really loving that.
I'm loving it. Yeah, so much.
Yeah.
He's definitely the teacher for me.
Yeah, good. That's
Yeah,
good. I mean,
yeah.
so a lot of times, like, so I'll call Rob and I'll be like, "This is what's going on." He's like, "Oh yeah, you should do Lady Slipper, like or whatever it is." He's like, "That reminds me of this." Like I'm telling you. So he'll always remind me, like he'll either remind me of what I've forgotten or he'll teach me something new when I talk to him. So it's really cool, and I really love that he's adding this into the to his repertoire practice. I think it's just going to be really interesting to see what you do with it, because I'm sitting here 'cause, like it's acupuncture, but it's not like, so the detour I took like after acupuncture school, right, was with Jeffrey Yuen, but then also with him, and you have too. I mean, you've studied with Jeffrey,
Oh
and
yeah.
I appreciate him, but I see some issues. Like I've recognized some issues with how he practices, and his way of viewing the world. So, but one of the things that opened up, like working with him, is like putting essential oils on acupuncture points, putting crystals on using crystals as needles, and the fact he says the first acupuncture needles were black tourmaline, which is very, very telling because black tourmaline, it's clearing entities and negativity and that kind of stuff. It's a stone that removes radiation poisoning, which is interesting to think about that. And I don't know enough detail about that, because that's all he said. He didn't say like how that came about. And I'd probably have to go study Gahung, and I'm just not doing it right now.
No.
I'm not doing it. Um, but like I'm imagining you putting herbs on points, like kind of like doing the shakaju, and then maybe like sending someone home, with an herb that they take, but maybe they're herbs that go on points too, because the flower essence is for points. Like that's one of the primary ways I work with acupuncture points.
It's even a way to test if an herb is going to work on somebody. Is you put a little bit drop of the tincture or something on the person's wrist and see if the pulse changes, or see if there's a
Ah,
change in the person another way. Maybe they take a deep breath or break a little sweat or have a sigh of relief or something. And I mean, that's the thing. You don't really have to hit somebody over the head with a really strong treatment. You don't have to drill needles into somebody and wail away at it. I mean, people respond to very gentle stimuli.
well,
It's one
yeah,
thing that this type of acupuncture has taught me,
yeah. Well,
right?
I feel like that's the way. That's the true way for me personally. Um, I I have a theory that, well, one, when acupuncture first came about, how would they have made needles? How would they have made forged metal needles at that time? So either the timeline's all screwed up, right? Or metal needles, when they came in, like the medicine was already being practiced without them.
Oh yeah. And then some of these acupuncture points, I wouldn't dare put a needle in them. I think they're more points for qigong practice or meditation practice or some
Yeah,
kind of something. I mean, I don't think you should go anywhere near some of these places, and you know them all,
yeah, yeah.
with a needle, or a piece of moxa or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think they need that kind of one.
No.
I feel like it's invasive. It's too
Mhm.
invasive. And I then to me, like that's why like I switched everything to help my clients work with acupuncture points, like with their like as a meditation tool with their like piercing the point with their own consciousness. That's basically what I would say. And then I would rather these areas that are, foreboding, for being
Mhm.
needled, if they still feel like there's something that they want to, like they need something there, they can use their own hands. They can apply a treatment. They can, because it's their body.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's certain places that are just, foreboding, like that, like for people, other people to, like that's not for other people to go to. There's not for other people to influence.
No, and then also, I mean, the way that I work, it's a very systemic way of practicing acupuncture. So I think I don't know if they've studied this. I kind of feel like they have studied this. The deeper you insert that needle, the more localized the effect is. The more shallow the needle, the more systemic effect it has throughout the whole person. So you could treat a point on the other end of the body, somewhere very
Mhm.
far away, and have it affecting the whole system.
Oh, and that makes sense. Like for me, intuitively, as I was working, I never wanted to stick a needle deep into someone. It was always right on the surface, like
Yeah,
just on the surface. I felt like I could feel more or perceive more shifting in the body from that than deeper needling with when I was doing acupuncture. And it makes complete sense to me. And okay, like so you have a local thing, you got, you have like muscle spasm. Yeah, go deep in that muscle and like get it released. If that's what you want to do, if that's your style, right? If that's what you feel like, you know what I mean? That kind of practitioner, I would
sure.
say. Yeah.
But it's also not a holistic way of looking at it,
No, no, it's not. It's
right?
not. Right.
Okay, what led that muscle to hurt, right? What
Hmm.
made you susceptible to that injury? Why does it hurt you more than it hurts the next person? Why are you
Hmm.
not able to recover from it, whereas someone else would? That's when you have to look at the whole
Right.
person and what's
Oh yeah.
going on,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You're not looking at a case of back pain. You're looking at a person who, among other things, has back pain, for example.
Exactly. Exactly. It's funny because I look back historically at like injuries I've had where if someone else had had that fall or something happened, something would have happened to them. But I just like, whoop, I just pop back up, um, and have minimal kind of, you know, I was teaching yoga and I didn't realize my back heel um, was on a belt, yoga belt. And, it's like a slippery floor. And I started to go into a standing pose and I went into a split, whoop, like that. Boop, and it just came back up and they were like people were like because that would have but that would have hurt someone else, right? But I part of it is I realized like that I I think at that level, like what you're talking about, when you have more of that open, like conscious awareness, when you can have a more kind of ability to explore in your mind possibility, that sometimes you don't get these localized injuries from accidents or whatever, falls or whatever it is. That's at least my
Sure.
perception. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another way of looking at it is also how much gas do you have in the tank,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
right? So what I'm doing is I'm treating the person's vitality and we're trying to charge their battery. I mean, you can practice the acupuncture of, well, we're just going to move around something that's stuck, but what's going to keep it from getting stuck again?
Well,
That's the
right.
step beyond it. So it's a more fundamental level of
Mm,
treatment where let's warm this person's body, restore their vitality so they can recover from these things
Yeah.
or not get certain things in the first place.
Yeah, and that's so that started like when I was just in practice, when all that started happening for me, kind of looking out like, why isn't this person able to hold um the space and place within themselves so they can heal, like so like things can go back into balance and harmony. And it was interesting for me, just being the intuitive person, is like what I could see them going back into their home and their home holding the pattern. Like they'd walk into the home and the home would remind them of the pattern. And so then
Oh yeah.
that's when I started like being able that, that's what opened up for me, like doing, like looking at the energy in people's homes, but also looking at how their mind was creating that like feeding that.
Well, that gives me an idea, right?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Is when you're treating the person on your table, you should have someone go to their house and rearrange all the furniture so they come back to a different energy pattern.
Well,
That's an idea, right?
you got a service going right there.
Yeah.
But see, I would energetically do it. And I would tell them to go home, like, and like pop. Sometimes I would tell them to change their stuff around, like move your stuff around, do something, even if it's something small, move a lamp to the other side of the room, like whatever it is, something, right? So that it would represent them disrupting the pattern as well. Like, yeah, but yeah, that would be a great service. You need a crew.
Yeah, right.
You need a crew. Or
Yeah, but
send them home with a some herbal like smudge, some mm, or whatever, like sweetgrass, or I like the mugwort smudge.
oh nice.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
send them
used to
home.
juniper,
I
which
like juniper too.
nice,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's nice. Yeah. But
Yeah.
right, yeah, establishing new energy patterns.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And their car too. I mean, honestly, because kind of like, where are you the most? Like their office, and all that stuff. It does kind of mirror back. It'll hold the pattern.
Well, Carrie said to me once, you reach a point where your groove becomes a grave, you know.
Oh, Carrie's one of our teachers from acupuncture school. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use that. I'll credit him. I'll give him
Yeah.
credit for it. He'll be tickled by that. I'll tag him on Facebook. I should have tagged him in this because he would have loved to see us.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I will. Oh, mom said, Rob is sitting in my chair. And then she said, Rob has helped me tremendously. I'm sure she'd
I'm hanging out
love.
with a plant she likes too.
She what?
She likes this plant. She likes the tree.
Yeah, I like the tree too. I'm gonna hit the add highlight and possibly that's what I'm doing techie stuff right now so that people know that we're on. But what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, I had something in my head and it went away. Oh, does anyone have questions? Like, so anyone have questions for us? Like, just go ahead and we're gonna keep talking, but I'll look to see if there are um any questions, and like David or Tina, you can just go right into the chat or Q&A and ask questions right on the Zoom app. So yeah, like so I want to ask you something very, very like subtle. It's like subtle, like can you remember how you felt like in your body when you had to put a needle into someone's body as opposed to using the non-insertion needle that you use now? Like, do you
Well,
recognize a
you know,
difference in yourself from those two?
I would say, yeah. I mean, well, back when we started, we thought that was the only way of doing it.
Right.
Um, and you had to actually do something kind of physical to get a physical change in the body,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then I saw Carrie do some stuff with not inserting a needle at all. And I thought,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, I want to learn to do that. And it's almost like I'm not an acupuncturist unless I can develop the sensitivity to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I'm just one of those, difficult people where I'm not really, I don't consider myself I can drive a car unless I can drive a stick, or I can't play an instrument if I need a fret, if I can't find
Hmm.
the notes by myself. Well, I'm not really an acupuncturist if I need to insert a needle.
Right.
And I develop that sensitivity
Hmm.
to feel these things in a more subtle way.
Right.
So it's
So
also kind of a path of self-development.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
I think that that's what any healing practice should needs to be. And if it's not, that's where I feel like if a practitioner's not on a path of self-development with like their practice as a mirror, then I think that their what they offer is going to be very limited. So Tina asked a question. She wanted to ask more detail, go for you to go into more detail about Shakaju and if it's in person only.
Yes, it is in person only because it's very palpatory. So a treatment is pretty much having a conversation with your body.
Mhm.
So it's a constant feedback loop of finding reference points, something that might be tender or just feel different, and then treating and seeing how the whole body responds to the treatment. It's very palpatory. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's theory is definitely secondary, and it's not about using points based on supposed actions that it's going to have on the body.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
if someone gets on the table, I don't know what I'm going to do with them
Until you
until I
start.
actually start,
Yeah,
and I don't
until
know where
yeah.
I'm going to go next because it's going to take me somewhere else.
Mhm. I think that's important because there's a lot of I feel like as we're wherever is happening with us, there's a lot of bypassing of real work, like hands-on approach to things. Um, Things have become more of a mental kind of game. And even like I notice it with the energy healing stuff. Not to say that you can't do distance energy healing, because I know I know it has merit and value because I do it. But uh I tend, if I'm going to get energy healing, I only want energy healing from someone who has done physical work, someone who has worked on bodies, someone who's been in that level. Because unless, and that's one thing I wanted to create was like a course where people would come together, energy healers who had never touched bodies, who'd never really done this kind of work, to learn
Mm,
how to do that, like to be in that space, because it's a whole nother way of reading, the body, and just being in physical space with someone as they're transforming, I think is very important. And
it's very
yeah,
grounding.
very grounding. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Tina. Now, David has a question because he's almost done with acupuncture school and he wants to know where he could study after school to learn more of the esoteric stuff, which is kind of like that's where we were. That's what happened with us. We were like, we need to know because this isn't like this feels like nothing. Feels like you spend a lot of time like you like running around learning in acupuncture school, thinking it's the most important information until you like really start treating people, and then you're like, no, there's more. That's how it was for me. But I don't know what you because I
Absolutely.
don't are they even teaching Shakaju anymore? Right? Because Rob is so here's the thing before you answer, Rob. Rob is one of 8 people certified to teach Shakaju, and I keep pushing him like to teach it because I would love to learn it. Um, because I feel like I think that that way of working is very important, and I think it's a lost art. It's becoming more and more lost, I would say. So go ahead, Ron.
Yes. What was the question?
David wants to know, like, so one, I would say, like, are you ever going to teach Shakaju? Can we get that going? Two, do they still even teach Shakaju? Three, what are other resources for learning the more esoteric um, hidden kind of real medicine of acupuncture, we could say, or yeah, like that.
Okay. Well, let's see. So Shakuchi was a Japanese form. My teacher was Dr. Kobayashi, based in Tokyo, and he would come here every year and teach. And I went over to Japan and studied with him a little bit. And unfortunately, he's passed recently, and I don't think they have any plans to come over here and teach more his senior students and those who've
Mhm.
carried on. But we do have 8 teachers in this country, and I don't know what anyone else is doing, but I would love to get a class started.
Okay.
It's just logistic issues and finding a place that's going to sponsor. I have talked to Bob Quinn a little bit, and then, well, our acupuncture school is not interested in teaching that,
Right.
hosting this. Really, is really finding a place to host it because we have to get the tables together and find someone to kind of put out the blast. But it's just finding the right forum, and yeah, I would love to teach it. Absolutely. That's kind of our mandate from Dr. Kobayashi, from Sensei, was to spread this.
Well, so that's what,
And
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
COVID
Sorry.
put the kibosh on it.
Yeah.
That
Well,
slowed everything down.
yeah. Well, right. Um, we're going to talk more about that because I know it could be done here in Oahu. It's just a matter of getting that
That would be
together.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll get that together um at some point. But I'm thinking about, like, I don't really know. I mean, you could study with Jeffrey when, like, to learn some more esoteric stuff. Um,
You got to have a personality that matches his, though, in a way,
yeah, that's what
right?
yeah,
Because he's kind of, I like very clear things.
he's not very clear.
He's not clear. Yeah,
Yeah,
not clear enough for me.
yeah, so let me explain about going to a class with Jeffrey. One thing that happens that he doesn't tell anyone, he doesn't tell people this, which is interesting, right? Is he's channeling. So he doesn't tell people that he's actually channeling all the information he teaches. He has no notes, he has an outline for the class, but he's straight up channeling. While he's channeling, whoever he's channeling, some days it's clearer than others. And it's not garbage. I mean, it is clear to a degree. It's not like when you listen to some channeler that's channeling space garbage that makes no sense and all that. Um, it's clear, you can see the patterns, and he's clearly talking about the medicine. But what happens is he'll start one thing, and then I don't. I should really, if I had thought about it at the time, I would have asked him, "Who are you channeling?" Because what'll happen is he'll start a concept, and then he'll back up, and then then he forgets to go back to like where he was, or like whoever he's channeling. So it's a very interesting thing to learn from him, and you're not supposed to record, and you've got to like write fast. He's just like, this is, he's going right once he goes. um so the best thing I would say if you're going to start with his stuff is actually just to buy some of the already published transcripts, so you can see what that's like before you invest even more money in studying with him live. That's what I would say. um
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. Also, Pacific, their online platform,
right.
and I think Lhsa's online platform, two places I really don't like at all, but they have some very short, relatively inexpensive Jeffrey classes where you can get a taste of him actually talking,
Yeah.
which might be good. They'll see when they do a Fourth of July sale or a Labor Day sale or something, and just spend a couple bucks and get that, and you can actually hear him, see him talk, and see what you think. I mean, he's great to just sit and listen to.
Yeah, I
I mean,
stopped.
you
Yeah.
could sit and listen to him forever. He's great, and you just kind of soak it in. But the problem that comes with me is, how am I actually going to apply this?
Well,
It's kind of,
yeah.
working on another level.
Well, it's working on another level, but he's also still working, like, for me, within the framework of traditional Chinese medicine. Like, he's talking about the Wu. He's the Wu, which is like the shaman, that's the term. But it doesn't feel like he's one helping the practitioner to be able to do to the level that he's been taught. I feel like he has some gatekeeping going on. That's my sense. Um, so if you shape the practitioner, if you help the practitioner shape, the practitioner will be able to see and develop the relationship with the points that they need to in order to implement the medicine the way they're meant to. So that's the other thing, like, kind of this individuation process within the medicine, because yes, you can, I think it's great to learn somebody else's method, but I always think you're supposed to move that method. That method is supposed to grow through the practitioner. So you say, this is how it was taught to me, but this is how I've furthered it. And I don't see a lot of people doing that. I don't see people
Right,
out there fostering that, because
right.
like in some ways, like it's like that the person's perspective in life and their self-development and their relationship with the point has a lot of potency. Um, and I think that that part is also being lost. So like anyone could do what I do, basically, like guiding people into a point. But I have a relationship with the point. I'm not asking people to have the same relationship to the point that I have. I'm asking them to develop a relationship with that gate on their body. And that to
Yeah, it
me
has
it's
become experiential for them,
right,
not, oh, this is what Jennifer said. No,
right,
well, how are you experiencing that?
right. Like that gateway of transforming consciousness, which is why I've it's very disheartening that someone is stealing my work. Really disheartening, because uh, I put in a lot of years of effort for someone to just, you know, do that. And people don't talk about that. Like there's a lot of interesting things out there. Like, so I get it. Like, it's acupuncture. Anyone can learn it. But I've developed this way, and I'm still developing it based on my own development, right? Based on what I can
Yeah,
see. And I had asked,
well,
yeah, I asked Rob before we started if he had like a favorite point. Like he had a point that like he used more than others, and he said he doesn't.
no, a lot of the big points I don't even use.
Right.
You can couple ways you can practice. You can practice using points for their
Mm.
supposed effect on the body, or you can use a point for what the person needs at this moment.
Well, that's where more of the way that I practice all along. Like it's more magnetic for me. And I think that's what I would say. The similarity between us is that and how you're even doing shakuju, it's more magnetic. Like you can feel it. It's like a sense of magnetism. It's how
Yeah.
you know where to go. It's how it's like a feeling state more than an intellectual point prescription recipe. They call them recipes, right? That's what we call them. That a lot of
Yeah, right.
people get stuck on the surface recipe level, and then other people grow through the medicine. And those are going to be the better practitioners in my mind, because if you're looking to grow yourself, if you just want to stay stuck where you're at, go ahead, go to like a regular practitioner, right? If you just want them to fix it. If you want a mechanic,
Yeah, if you want a mechanic,
if you want a
right.
mechanic,
Yeah.
go to
And
a
then
mechanic.
there's people that kind of go around and study everything and get certified in everything.
Right.
And, are they just collecting credentials, or are they actually, really developing themselves?
Right. And I did a little bit of that. Like because I was looking, I'm like, where is what was interesting to me was to go to classes with chiropractors who knew more about acupuncture, like these little esoteric things that I knew that they weren't, it wasn't being taught in school. I'm like, where did you get that information? Because they don't teach us that.
Where did they get that information?
Just various like courses that they've taken, like kinesiology. It's more like they got it from like Touch for Health.
Okay.
So maybe David, like Touch for Health might be a good investigation too for you. Something like that. I was even looking at the other day, I forgot about Jinshin Jitsu. I forgot about that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just
Right?
read a history on that.
You did. So of course you
Yeah.
did.
It was in one of Edward Obeidi's books, and it was like 1890 or something in Japan, and the guy was really, really sick.
Mhm.
And he said, well, I'm just gonna, go in the mountains to die or something, say goodbye to his family. And then he just kind of developed this somehow, or it came to him maybe, right?
Yeah.
Channeled the information or something. But
Mhm.
yeah. Oh man. All right. I wish I knew we were gonna if we were gonna hit on that today. I'm sure I'd have better information for you, but it was actually a really cool story.
Yeah,
But
well,
he actually was able to feel the movements of chi within himself, and this grew out of that. And he could
yeah.
therefore feel the movements of the chi or the vitality in other people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he recovered fully and then, started treating people and all that. And I think, one thing, also that everyone's got in common is this sense of, I guess, compassion in a way,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You see the suffering and you want to do something about that suffering.
Yes.
That's an important part of it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
David, I think, we're all on our own paths and we all kind of stumble around and, maybe you just got to stumble around a little bit and see what feels good to you.
Yeah, David actually he studied martial arts, and he studied Tai Chi and Qigong. I think Qigong too in China. So
Well, then
he,
you're a lot further along than I was
yeah.
because you're already feeling these things.
All right, so Tina's asking, would the client come in and describe symptoms to assist with the treatment?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. But then you're not
Absolutely.
necessarily like giving them you're not sitting there going, oh, well, your chi is stagnant, or I'm like Rob doesn't sit, he just does the treatment. He's not sitting there going, okay, now I'm gonna work on PC6, and he's not educating them, he's just doing the treatment, and tuning in and refining as he goes, as far as the treatment is concerned.
Yeah, I don't say things like your spleen chi is weak because who the hell
Yeah.
is going to be able to relate to that? And ultimately, it doesn't really matter in some way when you're treating the core vitality of a person, the person's core energy system. Anything else is kind of branching off of that. And
Hmm.
when you treat that core system, everything benefits.
Well,
You can
that,
go chase
yeah.
around little symptoms and little things, and then that's when you really get hung up because if you don't have the right thing, well, then you're wasting your time. You could
Hmm.
just go right to the heart of the matter
Yeah.
to start off with.
Well, and that's um I've been thinking a lot about that, kind of like how, like okay, when we're talking about spleen chi, like deficient spleen chi, like everyone has it. It's like kind of like, everyone's got this thing, right? In this reality, they've got this. This is somewhere, someone has this. Um, and I'm like, well, one of the things I like for me that I'm like kind of working through in here is the need for people to identify themselves through a physiological process, like naming a disease, right? And if we name it, do we give it permanency instead of like just looking at the pattern and helping the body, like you're saying, to get to treat the core, the root, and get it to be able to go back and to heal itself.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Mark Steen said something really interesting about that,
Hmm.
right? He says, well, in school, we're kind of learn these, again, we're guilty of it too in our school, where we learn these disease patterns
Right,
and we tend to classify and put people into these little boxes. Well, that's stuck liver chi, for example, or
right,
that's,
right.
depleted spleen chi or whatever the hell it is. And we're doing that instead of seeing the person as a person, right? So, one thing he said is, okay, instead of seeing this as, oh, this is a case of stuck liver chi,
Mhm.
says, well, this is a person behaving in a constrained liver chi kind of way,
Right, right,
right? So you're not identifying with it so
right.
much. It's not right, and it's something that you can move.
They're stuck in the on the channel. They're like, to me, it's like that's the channel they're watching. That's the channel they're tuned into. And so they're in that until they can change the, you know, go back to regular scheduled programming,
Yeah,
in
right.
a way. I just wanted to see if there are any other yeah, I don't see any comments on Facebook right now, but we can always go back and answer them. Um Tina asked like she's basically asked what like let me just give me a second because I want to see is it evident which core system is having issues intuitively? So I think there's not a which in the core system, really. I think it's just the core system.
It's the core vitality of the person. Yeah.
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 Hmm. Yeah.
Instead of it being your liver chi, your spleen chi, your heart chi, it is your, we only have one chi. It is your chi. It
Gee,
is
right.
your vitality. And
Hmm. Yeah, that I look at it like everything is energy. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? So we can, that to me, it's like just addressing that and stop getting foot stuck on these, like the mechanics, the mechanical patterns.
yeah, and everything's energy and everything is really different densities of energy,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The bone, the muscles,
Hmm.
the blood vessels, the
Hmm.
skin, the breath, the
Yeah.
aura above that, right?
Yeah.
And the more dense the chi is, the longer it's going to take to move and get things to change.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Tina says thank you. She thanked us and hopes to learn more about Shakaju.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Come to the class.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, so we'll have to now I'm kind of, part of me says that because I know it's like, okay, I need to, it'll push me to do it, to create it. And I know David would love to come to Hawaii. So yeah, he would he would for sure. Um, but I don't see any more questions. And is there anything you feel like we need to, like, you need to say, anything you feel like you want to round this out with?
Nothing's coming to mind.
Okay.
Um,
Doesn't have to. There's no pressure. No pressure.
yeah, the next step, I guess, would be kind of, I don't know. I guess someone would have to see a treatment in action or experience a treatment or something like that.
Well, that's what, so, until I get my butt there, right? Like that's what I want to do is, you know, either have you treat my mom or have you treat me, and then so people can see a live treatment. But if you can get someone else, um,
Yeah, I could probably get someone else.
get my mom will do it if you want. She'd love it. So if you want, just get someone else to video it to
Well, yeah, my cameraman's a little under the weather at the moment.
your cameraman.
Yeah,
Who's your cameraman? I didn't know you had a cameraman, Rob.
yeah, my friend. Yeah, yeah.
I'm also gonna do something really funny. Um, right now that's probably gonna make you uncomfortable, but ladies,
What's up?
Rob is single and
No.
available. He's a catch.
That would be way more embarrassing if I wasn't drinking tequila now.
You're not drinking tequila.
I emptied the water and full of
You
booze.
did not. So, yeah, Rob is like, he's like my brother. So for me, I want to, I'm always wanting to support him, and not just, because of his work is good. It's probably, like I said in the beginning, I highly recommend, that if you are in New Jersey, that you have treatment with Rob. And if you're not in New Jersey and you want to fly him to you and pay him accordingly for, a week or two, then there's that too. There's
There's
that
that too.
option. There's that option too. He'll, yeah.
Yeah, or if you're ever in New York, only an hour outside of New York,
Yeah, there you go.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So there's that. And let's just see, because I got another. That would be great to see treatment in action. Okay, that yeah, good. Yeah, we'll Rob will get on that.
yeah, get on
Yeah.
that.
And when he does get on it, I can also share it, like I can share it with my email list so
Cool.
people can see it. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. No, I mean, if you want more kind of like, if you want to talk about soul and you want like the what I do, like, that's something that can be done anywhere over Zoom. Um, oh, Jasmine. So David has um pretty much a newborn, and he said she enjoyed our live too.
Oh, good.
So that's awesome. Yeah. He's
Good. I
getting
didn't
her.
drop any F-bombs, so I made it children appropriate.
I'm sure they drop F-bombs in front of her. She's an infant, but she's very aware and she's very healthy. And, they're kind of getting her, all, exposed to all the right things, all the natural good things in life. So that's good to hear. But,
Good. We need more of those people.
yeah, we do. Yeah, David's definitely committed in the same way we are to health. So yeah, so
All right.
I'm excited to see how he becomes, like how he does, how he operates his practice and how he grows his practice. Just as I'm excited to see how you grow yours, and mine is always a mystery getting revealed. So I never have the map. I just have to keep practicing, and I learn as I
Well,
go.
that's that's not losing sight of space,
Right.
right? People think
Yeah.
space is a void and nothingness, but it really isn't. Space can any possibility can happen in
Oh
space,
yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything can arise.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, that's where,
Yeah,
yeah, I just want to see the energy purely, like to be able to face what's there without applying a filter to it, because then I think you see more, and um there is more possibility. There's more possibility for being healthy and happy and
right. Yeah.
all that stuff, all that good stuff. So,
And that's that's what every treatment is about too,
yeah. Well, life,
is giving a treatment is really a kind of a form of meditation because
absolutely.
it's staying constantly present. How is the person you're working on responding to your treatment?
Hmm.
What direction is this going to take? I mean, it's all you're right there,
Yeah, you don't know.
moment to moment to moment. You don't know, and yeah, you're in that space. There's no rehearsals for it.
Right. Well, that's why, like, the other part of what I do, like, people could call me psychic, but I don't want to forecast for someone, because I just don't, I feel like it's limiting. There's no need to forecast. Um, and there's no need to interpret. It's about being present. And that's what happened when I first started, going into all of this years and years ago. When I started doing massage, like from moving from yoga to doing massage, I set an intention to be present. It was very clear, like it was something I had to do and something I had to commit to. But to be present to myself, to the patient, and to the environment. Those were the three things I knew I had to be present with. And that's what I feel like that was like kind of like the path of development for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very true.
Yeah. And it's different than like when people say, like I could never call myself a psychic. Like it doesn't sit right with me. And psychic just means of the mind. Like, so it's all, not that I won't use that word. I don't think the word is evil, but it just means of the mind. That's it. That has a lot in it of itself. So right. So You know where Rob is, you know how to find him, silverneedlewellness.com. We're gonna do this more often. We're gonna do this on a regular basis. We just have to sit down and decide. So we could have lots of topics. So the topics can be driven by all of you. What do you want us to talk about? What do you want us to share about? Um, and if you share that with me, we'll do it. We'll make that the frame with which you see us through, which we speak through, right? In our conversation. So thanks for everybody who came live and everybody who watches the replay. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. I'm gonna
Bye,
stop.
Carolyn.
Bye, Mom. Yeah, stop.